Hello, Algebra 2 Enriched students. Mr. Davis here with a preview of the Chapter 5 test or a review of Chapter 5. I'm going to try to keep this relatively short, but these are all slides from Chapter 5 presentations. So if you want a little further explanation, you're going to need to go back to that section, either check out Mr. Wilford's video or go to the longer presentation that I have here, or that I have in Moodle, and maybe take a look at the problem a little more deeply. But your test is 20 questions long, and here's some of the topics that you're going to need to be able to handle. You need to be able to factor a problem like this. So make sure that you can factor anything, especially when the first term is or the a part is 1. So you need to be able to know how to split the trinomial into two binomials. Likewise, you need to be able to do this when it's not 1. So in other words, if we were to put this, get everything over to one side, 0 on the other side, you might have 2x squared instead of just x squared. You need to be able to handle that problem as well. You need to know the quadratic formula and how to use it. Make sure that you know how to get everything over to one side of the equation and then identify A, B, and C. Plug it into the quadratic formula. Keep in mind that you will typically get 2 answers when you do that. You need to be able to complete the square. Let me move myself here so I'm not in the way. But again, you can go to section 5.4 and see the books method. I've got my shortcut here. Again, you need to know what a perfect square trinomial is. I did 3 videos on this remember from my Algebra 1 teaching days that I think are helpful to you. Those are on Moodle. So here's the screen that's in the presentation. You've got the book method as well. Between those two, you should be able to complete the square. You need to be able to find the vertex of a parabola as well as the axis of symmetry. Be able to identify those. Again, easiest just to use Desmos and graph the parabola, locate the vertex. Remember, the axis of symmetry is simply that vertical line. It's always going to be x equals whatever the x coordinate of the vertex is. You need to be able to do a quadratic regression. In other words, you need to be able to take a table, enter that table probably into Desmos, and then use the quadratic regression equation on Desmos. Y1, again, the symbol for similar, ax1 squared plus bx1 plus c, and then identify from that. You'll get a, b, and c. You might need to find the equation. Keep in mind, if you go back to this problem in 5.8, I showed how to get, and I've updated that slide. I've showed you how to use a vertical line to intersect with the parabola and make a prediction for the future as well. Next, we have being able to multiply two complex numbers. Again, I would take a close look at 5.9 as well as the other section on imaginary and complex numbers. But basically, you need to be able to multiply kind of like you would a binomial times a normal binomial times a binomial. But keep in mind that I squared will always become -1. Remember, I, the imaginary unit, is the square root of -1. So when we square that, we get -1. You also need to hopefully leave the screen alone here so that you can see that whole bottom part. You need to know vertex form of a parabola. Remember, or how to, if you see an equation in this form, how to identify where the vertex is. You can also do it the longer way and graph the equation on Desmos and then find the vertex that way. But remember, when you have the parabola in this format, you should know what the vertex is. Got a couple slides left here. You need to be able to find the absolute value. Remember, finding the absolute value of a complex number is going to be have a lot of similarity to a Pythagorean theorem problem. Same idea, where you're kind of finding the legs of a triangle and finding the distance to that quadrant. Coming up here, you're going to find a graphing slide coming up here. I think it's the next one. But being able to simplify as well, being able to simplify imaginary numbers and utilize I, either probably on the outside, you can't leave it on the inside for sure. We'll always factor that out. Let me back up. Being able to graph these, again, this will kind of help you with that absolute value piece. If I was going to find the absolute value of 4 plus I, I'm really finding the distance from 0 to that point. Remember now, this isn't the XY plane. This is the real axis taking the place of the X axis, the horizontal, and the vertical axis becoming the imaginary axis, where each point along there is a multiple of I, the imaginary unit. So go back, take a look at these sections, and see what you have to do. I would especially do that with this problem. I would take a look at this. This was a distance learning day when we did 5-7, I believe. So you may need to go look at this problem. There is a problem on the quiz like this problem where you need to take a quadratic inequality. So this is only the first slide. I think it's about 4 or 5 slides long in this particular presentation. But go take a look at this one and make sure you understand how to solve or how to utilize a quadratic inequality to get a solution that has something like at least or no more than things like that. So that's the basics of what you need for the test tomorrow. Again, I would do a little more in-depth review if I were you, and make sure go back, take a look, maybe pause each screen that I had there, and make sure you understand how to do the problem. I am not probably available for this review in class. That's why I did the video. But if you need to touch base with me throughout the day on how to do this before you take your test, I'll be available a little later in the day. This is 2020 that I'm doing this. Although this review is a general review that can be used in other years as well. That concludes our video for the Chapter 5 review, getting ready for the Chapter 5